overall scheme could be attributed to all of the co-conspirators. Thus, State Senator Hector Almundo, as the supposed architect of the whole extortion scheme, was on the hook for the murder of Adalbert Wozniak, regardless of who pulled the trigger or who made the ultimate decision to pull it. Joel Leitner and I passed a group of kids playing soccer, using anything they could find, a stone, a brick, a backpack, to frame their goals. I narrowly missed an appointment with a flying soccer ball, which made the kids howl in laughter almost in unison. I felt more than a decade and a half removed from that carefree bliss, having no other responsibility than to run around in a field chasing after a ball, though my sport was the American version of football. Ernesto Ramirez was standing near the basketball court, in part observing and in part refereeing a 4-on-4 game of half-court hoops. The backboard was tattered and the rim had no net, but it didn't seem to dampen the enthusiasm of the kids, who looked to be ages 6 through mid-teens. Ernesto was shouting something to them in Spanish I couldn't place. I spoke the language pretty well, but had trouble keeping up with native speakers. "We can talk right here," he said to us, which wasn't our preference, but we didn't have any leverage over him. I wasn't used to that. Until recently, I'd been a county prosecutor where the failure to cooperate meant an arrest for obstruction. It didn't take long to learn that Ramirez knew of Senator Almundo, the criminal case, and Adalbert Wozniak. "I didn't know Wozniak," he said. He spoke well, but it was clear that English was his second language. "D'you know Eddie Vargas?" asked Leitner. After Wozniak's murder, eyewitness accounts of the make and model of a Chevy sedan, together with partial license plate identification, led police to discover what they believed to be the killer's vehicle in a dump several miles away. The feds used some of their fancy forensic technology to conclude, from sediment found within the tire tracks, that the vehicle had spent some time parked behind a housing project controlled by the Columbus Street cannibals. They also found a print on the rearview mirror that belonged to a 16-year-old cannibal recruit named Eddie Vargas. When the FBI raided Vargas's home, they found a small pistol, a Car MK-40, which could be mistaken for a metal spray nozzle on a garden hose, and which they confirmed was the murder weapon. Young Mr. Vargas has never been located and is strongly believed to have suffered an unfortunate accident of one kind or another, probably involving a machete, the cannibal's weapon of choice when silencing potential talkers. Bottom line, the feds had their shooter and he was a cannibal, but that shooter wouldn't be talking. Ernesto Ramirez stared forward in the direction of the hoops game, but his eyes weren't tracking the players or the movement of the ball. He drifted away momentarily at the mention of the name. "Eddie was a 16-year-old kid," he said. "A sweet kid." Though Ramirez was only 32, his skin was weathered and his wavy dark hair was flecked with gray. He was a former Latin Lord member and drug addict who had managed to break free of both problems, but not without some residual wear. He spent his time these days running youth programs to provide alternatives to gangs. Eddie Vargas had been one of those youths. "He didn't shoot nobody," Ramirez added. Leitner shrugged. "The federal government is saying he did. Can you help us out?" Ramirez's jaw clenched and his left eye twitched. He was still making a show of watching that stupid basketball game, but I thought he was thinking. His mouth parted and his tongue moistened his lips like he was on the verge of speaking. "Senator Almundo shouldn't have to go down for something he didn't do," Joel said. Ramirez snapped out of his trance, turning on Joel. A vein throbbed near his left eye. "Hector Almundo can go to hell. I don't know nothing about this anyway. I can't help you out, okay, guy?" "Another satisfied customer," Joel would say. I'd done a few of these interviews with him. Joel tried a couple more times, but Ernesto Ramirez wasn't going to budge. "Almundo shouldn't go down for something he didn't do?" I said to Joel when we got back in his car. Joel laughed. "It sounded good at the time." Neither of us thought we were representing an innocent man. We didn't think Hector had ordered a hit on Adalbert Wozniak, but the part about working out a deal with the cannibals to shake down the local businesses, we figured the government had that part right. "He didn't shoot nobody," I said, quoting Ramirez. "He was speaking well of his friend. Doesn't mean he has any information. A dead-end kid," Joel pronounced. "Mr. Ernesto Ramirez doesn't know anything." Maybe, but I thought differently. Joel was pretty good with these things, but I thought he'd made a misstep. I thought Ernesto was about to tell us something.